Welcome to Movie Friends. We're your hosts, Seth and Michelle. Today we're talking about Edward Scissorhands from 1990. Directed by Tim Burton. Written by Caroline Thompson. Cinematography by Stefan Zapsky. Edited by Colleen and Richard Halsey. Composed by Danny Elfman. Starring Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder, Diane Wiest, Alan Arkin, Anthony Michael Hall, Kathy Baker, and Vincent Price. Michelle, how are you?
What's up, Seth? How's it going?
It's hot in October.
Yeah, it's Hot-tober.
Yeah, it kind of is reminding me of a world where it's Christmas and summer all at the same time. A world where it never snowed before.
Right, when you live somewhere super warm.
Yeah, where the houses are made of butter and ham and blue cotton
and you
candy.
Have cookies for hearts.
Yeah, cookies for hearts. Hey, so we got some exciting news. We announced our live show January 13th, Albany, New York.
Yeah, that means we really have to do this now.
We have to actually do it now. I'm excited. I'm excited about the movie. We're not revealing what it is quite yet. But
oh shoot, I think I've told some people.
Well, that's fine. Just tell them not to tell some people.
Oh, okay. I mean, like I've told people I actually know in IRL.
Right. IRL people.
Yeah.
We also want to remind people we're doing a review giveaway from now until December 1st. If you give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, you get entered into a drawing for a $50 Visa gift card.
You okay there?
Yep, I'm good. I did it.
Okay.
I said it.
You did. Seth closed his eyes and was just like really thinking hard.
Yeah. And then, hey, we got some emails.
I love the emails. I mean, I ask for them every week, but I can't believe people actually still send them.
We got an email from another continent this week.
We did?
We did. Should I go to that one first or should I save it?
No, I want another continent first.
All right. So this message is from Mike, Maniac Mike.
Oh.
He says, "Hi, this is Maniac Mike from Twitter. First off, my ancestors have had no peace since I heard you butcher my name. It's pronounced Mina Wa Mina. For peace of mind, I was implored to help you."
Wow.
Anyway, I liked your 2001 episode and can't wait to hear you explore Barry Lyndon, mostly for the love-hate relationship between Kubrick and Ken Adams. It's really fascinating. Looking forward to your next one to see if you can convert me to a Frankenstein fan. Cheers to you both.
Okay, couple of questions.
Sure.
What is he talking about?
Barry Lyndon is a Stanley Kubrick film.
Are we covering that, or did I miss that, or did I have a stroke during that episode?
Maybe. Mike's speaking it into existence.
Okay. All right. So it's on the map, kind of.
Mike is the one who responded on Twitter. I don't know if you remember. You were very taken with his comment where he said that this was one of his least favorite top tier cinema, 2001.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
I think I had mentioned him before, like many episodes ago, and then this time too. And I destroy his name both times.
Every time. I remember that.
So my apologies to you and to your ancestors. I hope that you have more peace now.
Also, maybe we'll sway him on Frankenstein.
Hopefully. I mean, by now that episode's out and we're doing Edward Scissorhands. So let us know, Mike. Did we sway you? Or are you still a Frankenstein hater?
Franken-hater.
Someone who isn't a Frankenstein hater. Got an email from Ben.
The email king.
Responding to our episode on Frankenstein 1931, which I actually thought was a good episode.
I did too.
Yeah.
Did people say it wasn't?
I got some negative feedback. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
I would love negative feedback though. That would make me feel better.
Humble you a little bit, right?
Well, also just, make it feel like people aren't just saying nice things.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, when I get like a nasty Apple podcast review on my other shows, I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it because it's not for everybody. And most things that they comment on, it's like we say it anyway. So,
yeah, I would love to know like what people don't like about the show.
me
Speak
too.
Speaking of which, you can go to our website. We've got a little survey you can fill out, and we've gotten a lot more back than I thought that we would. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Some, with some good, like, actually critical, like, how I don't know how to say what I'm saying.
Pointers, tips, constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism, yes. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not used to saying those words together because I never received that.
I mean, I feel like I give it to you sometimes.
Well, sure.
But I think no one listens to me. Sometimes I just feel like a ghost floating around. Like, is this thing on?
Oh my god.
Hi, can you see me? Not with you, like in my general life.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to Ben's email.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Ben.
He says, the monster liking apple pie made me think, do you think that he eats? I don't think
Well, I feel like we're going to get into that with Edward.
Well, we are going to get into that with it. I think for Frankenstein's monster, honestly, it was so short-lived. I think that dude had an expiration date. Like, I don't think that monster keeps living forever. There's no blood. He can't have blood. He was all cut up into pieces,
Good point.
So if there's no blood, there's no poop, there's no pee.
Right.
And that's my professional opinion as a doctor. No blood, no poop, no pee.
It's pretty simple when you put it like that.
Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. No.
Let us know if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
He says, I also want a Grave Robbers TV show.
Mm-hmm.
The scene with him throwing her in the water is one of my favorite scenes in horror.
Favorite?
Hey, why not? He says, torch talk, fire emoji. Which we did get some feedback. Nick Scheist, Bad Movies We Love podcast, let us know how torches are actually made. But I still want to see a video. So
yeah, me
if someone
too.
could actually you know what? I'm just going to cut myself off right there. Do not, under any circumstances, try to make a torch and send us a video. Don't do it. Do not try this at home. P.S. This is my second favorite Universal. Invisible Man is my favorite. And I think I'm close to that. PSS, Zach is real. PSSS, worst accent yet. And yeah, my British accent last time was off. It wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, we'll try again this week.
You win some, you lose some.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's true.
Normally at this point in the show, we would go to Michelle's pre-watch thoughts, but she has seen Edward Scissorhands before.
I have.
Did Anthony watch this with you?
He did, because he has never seen Edward Scissorhands.
Wow.
He thought this whole time he has seen bits and parts. And then when it finished, he's like, yeah, I definitely have never seen this.
Wow. Great. Okay. What did he think?
He liked it. He very much liked it. So I'm glad about that. And I kept asking him, I'm like, were you confusing this with Beetlejuice? Because that's the movie. Not that to me, I kind of put them together, even though they are different.
Yeah.
But similar in ways. I'm like, that's the last movie in the same kind of way that I've watched aesthetically, right? Yep. And he's like, no, I've seen Beetlejuice a bunch of times. I definitely wasn't confusing it. I was like, okay, I'm just trying to figure it out, Aunt. Jeez. Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, especially with the same director or the same kind of feel.
Right. And like, it has Winona in it, I mean.
Right.
So, yeah.
So when was the last time you would have seen this, if you can recall?
I know, right? Because this came out in 1990. And so this whole time I'm trying to think about the first time I saw it, how I felt when it came out. I think I probably saw it when I was a kid, maybe like 10, 11.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what would have made me watch it or how I got my hands on it. Because it's not something my parents would probably be like, hey, let's watch this. Even though they didn't really like censor my movies or anything, but it doesn't seem like it's up their alley.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not something, it's not Sam's vibe. So I'm not sure, but Edward Scissorhands is such an iconic
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So what about you? What's your relationship with this movie?
Yeah. I would have seen this probably too young, honestly,
Yeah.
even though we're very mild on all kinds of questionable content in this movie. Even the violence is pretty reserved, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember being so scared of when Edward kills Jim,
Yeah.
because his whole makeup changes, the way that he's
Mm-hmm.
like lit and shot like changes, and it's so intense and scary, and it's like a way that we haven't seen him throughout the whole film. I remember being very, very afraid of that. And I also remember being really afraid of when he saves Kevin, but then he's like slicing up Kevin's face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we don't really see Kevin's face that much afterwards to see, like, I think we're like assuming that he's like okay, you know, and later on Peg is like, oh, he's okay. But yeah, those two scenes in particular really scared me.
How did Job feel about it? You watched it with him, as
Yeah,
you were
so I
telling me.
just watched it with my 10-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
and he loved it. When it started out, he was kind of making fun of it, not like making fun of the movie, just like making fun of the suburbia of it all and like the whole like Avon thing. And then he thought that Peg was crazy for bringing Edward like home, because in his mind he was like, this is like a monster, like this is a bad guy, like what are you
Right.
doing?
Of course.
And then over the course of the movie, he turned around and realized, like, oh, this isn't about Edward being a monster and like everyone hating Edward, because
Yeah.
that's what he thought it was going to be. And then
Mm-hmm.
about halfway through the movie, he said, I don't want this guy to die anymore. And if he dies in the end, I'm going to be very, very sad.
Oh. Was he scared at all of him?
I don't think so. If he was, he did not let on. And I
Yeah.
kind of was like looking over him a few times, like to see his reaction to a few different scenes. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you watched it with him. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah, me too. And you know, he'll be 11 in, you know, a little bit. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I think this is it. I think this is the age.
Yeah.
Again, like there's some stuff that's like a little above,
Yeah.
but you know, it's cool. He'll be okay.
Yeah. He'll be fine.
So Tim Burton, for our age group, I feel like is massive, huge, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The one we turn to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we've got, you already mentioned Beetlejuice, but then Edward Scissorhands, Batman, of course,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, that's his first like full-length film, and I've talked about that before, how it's like one of my top 3 favorite comedies just of all time. It's so amazing. He had actually done, I don't know if you're familiar with Frankenweenie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did another Frankenstein story. It was a short film, Frankenweenie.
Yeah. Oh
Yep,
my
and
gosh.
yeah, starring Shelley Duvall. So yeah, it's like between Frankenweenie and Edward Scissorhands, he definitely is paying homage to like the old Universal monster movies, and I think he does it quite well. Like,
I think so too.
you know, we're doing this as part of our Frankenstein series, but watching it now, I probably haven't seen it for 10 years. I was really taken aback at how effective everything was. And major hats off to Caroline Thompson, who wrote the script. And who was even, I was reading an interview with her, she was even like giving direction to the actors on set. And she was like, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I didn't know I was supposed to be telling them to talk to Tim Burton. She's like, but I they were asking me questions, and so I told them.
Mm-hmm.
Major props to her. But they really, I feel like, invented like a new fairy tale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else like it.
No, not
Right? Like Frankenstein's been done.
Yeah.
And we see variations. And then Edward Scissorhands is like standalone
Yeah.
to me.
60 years later, almost exactly 60 years later, after James Whale does Frankenstein, they do this movie. And kind of like how we were talking about how Frankenstein, the design in that Frankenstein film has become like a type of monster because it's so it's just so iconic. I feel like Edward Scissorhands is similar, but he hasn't been like replicated.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What did you think about? I have a lot of questions.
As you always say,
Yeah.
and we'll proceed to ask. So
Yeah.
I look
I have a lot of
forward
questions
to
about this one.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Diane Weiss as Peg?
God. I love Peg so much. You were instantly smitten with her.
Yeah.
As she's going around as your Avon representative. And everyone's just like humoring her and closing the door in her face. But then for her to go to the creepy place and to just enter, like no fears, no fears, walk up that staircase and then see him for the first time. And then she's like, oh, I'll just get a mild astringent and just dab your scar. And I mean, you instantly are in love with Peg.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah. It's such a crazy idea to, first of all, give us two main characters in the same movie. And as the story progresses, we slowly are transferring from Peg to Edward. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, number one. Number two is to make our first main character a salesperson. Mm-hmm. Because we are not sympathetic to salespeople on screen usually, you know what I mean? But like you said, it's like right away, you're just like, oh, she's so nice and she's delightful. And when people are turning her down, she's not really like getting mad at them or like putting her foot in the door and like really trying. She's just going through the motions of what she's supposed to be doing. And throughout the movie, we see that she really does love selling Avon and she loves doing makeup. And yeah, I love her right away. On my second watch, I was so taken with when she opens the main door into the foyer, and the set is huge, right? And she is this like very little lady, in her like Jackie Kennedy purple lavender get up. And she opens this door and she's like, hello, Avon.
Like no fear. No fear.
And there's something very brave, charming, disarming, and funny, like all at the same time. It's just kind of like everything that you want in a person that you are following along with this story, just all at the same time. And yeah, it's great. I mean, we're going to talk obviously a lot about Johnny Depp. We're going to talk a lot about Winona Ryder, but I wanted to make sure that we didn't move on because in my notes I wrote, Depp is MVP of this movie. His performance is unreal and great, but I think second is definitely Diane Weiss as Peg.
I mean, on that note, I would say equally Alan Arkin as Bill is in almost in the same vein as her of just, I mean, I know they have the ethics discussion at dinner, right? But he is like automatically so accepting and almost so aloof to what his wife has brought into the house. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even bat an eye. Mm-hmm. And even when he goes missing, he's like, all right, I'll get in the car. Yeah, I'm just like, Bill made me laugh so much and he wasn't being funny. I just couldn't wrap my head around the way he was just so accepting and just like, oh, yeah, okay.
When we get to that first dinner scene, I think that this is when we already know that we're in like a fantasy world. It's already a little surreal. But when dinner starts and Alan Arkin is just like, so Edward, that's when we really jump into like, this is surrealism. And I don't know if you had seen in looking anything up, but they had originally had the idea to make this as a musical.
Oh, wow. I did not see that.
Yes. And so Caroline Thompson had written this as a musical because they thought surrealism is easier to accept for an audience when it's a musical, because you're like, it's a musical. Of course, things are a little off and odd and people act strangely. And then after they had a first draft, Tim Burton was like, you know what? I think we actually don't need the musical part of this. Like, I think it's strong enough on its own. And so they just kind of proceeded. I'm kind of interested to see that. I don't want to see it necessarily like Edward Scissorhands on Broadway, but I would be curious. To see what.
Really? Because I would want to see that on Broadway.
Yeah, I mean, there's not like a ton of characters, you know.
You don't
But
need a
I don't
ton of
know.
characters for Broadway.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm curious though. I am curious.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll ever do that. Is there talks about doing that?
If there could be like songs released or like lyrics released, like just to see like kind of what they're going. Because Edward doesn't talk. So how are you going to have a song like this, him leading a song where he's singing all these words? You know what I mean? Like it just changes the whole feel of the thing.
Right. They could do like one solo moment with him.
Well, so the one song that I did see that she had written is called "I Can't Handle This," which I thought was pretty great.
Yeah, that would work.
On the Arkin character, I pulled this quote from her. He came up to her and was asking her like help me understand this person, and she said, I explained that my dad had a habit of saying the most irrelevant things as if they were the most important things in the world. And Alan said, okay, I get it.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
But he's so easygoing and nothing like you would think.
No.
Like where's the scene of Peg having to like calm him down and convince him, and he's just like, yeah, you live with us now? Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
And like even after Kim comes home and like the waterbed gets destroyed, and like he's like, this is a full size queen mattress right here in the couch.
That first scene though is just like Edward and Kim and the whole freak out, and Edward like walks out of the bedroom, goes into the bathroom, and Bill just follows after him, turns him around, nothing. We're not even going to address it.
Nope.
Here's some lemonade.
Yeah.
We good.
Yeah. And then he vaguely touches on like teenage girls.
Yeah.
Oh, they get these glands.
Yeah.
So I agree. Like the two of them together, they make for a really interesting kind of unique couple and dynamic. And I very much loved them throughout this movie.
And as a kid, I did not appreciate Bill enough.
No, and I didn't appreciate Peg enough either.
No. You're so wrapped up, I think, in the scenery, the aesthetics, and Edward.
I do love, and I did love then, and it has stuck in my mind. Anytime I'm trying to do anything with any, like you're doing something with construction or I don't know, is Diane's line reading of darn this stuff when she's putting all the makeup on Edward. Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Do we need to give a synopsis for this movie? Edward Scissorhands. An Avon saleswoman finds a thing, a robot, a creature, a person in Edward Scissorhands up in an old castle. She brings him down to suburbia for several weeks, and then he's forced out because he just can't fit into this world. He's too good for this world.
That's right. People are monsters.
Yep. So how did you feel as you're watching it this time with Frankenstein in mind, and also just having seen Frankenstein? Like, how did those two things?
Yeah, no, definitely was very much on the mind. And I was just like, wow, Seth must be so proud of himself. Because we picked Frankenstein and you came up with this theme of Franktober. And like Edward Scissorhand is like the perfect movie to follow this.
Yeah.
So like you should pat yourself on the back. Like I can't believe I'm actually allowing this right now,
Oh
but
my gosh.
the grace is given.
Thanks.
That being said, I definitely again was like thinking like comparing the two and just the whole idea of creating a monster and also like for selfish reasons. Like the inventor, the scientist, was he doing this to create a son? Was this kind of like a Pinocchio situation? We don't really know. And like, you create this creature, son, what have you, and you're teaching him etiquette and
Yep.
how to be a good person, but like you don't give him hands?
Yeah, that is a question. It
Like
is.
what
It
the heck?
is. Yeah, yeah. I'm really glad you brought in Pinocchio because, like I said earlier, like they're creating this like new modern fairy tale, but we're taking elements from
Yeah.
definitely Pinocchio, definitely Frankenstein. There's a little bit of Peter Pan and Wendy
Yeah.
happening there.
Yeah.
With like growing older and never growing
Mhm.
up. And yeah,
Mhm.
the inventor for me is hard to fault because I love Vincent Price so much.
Yeah.
And he plays him so nice and so sweet. And there's a little snippet of Vincent Price talking about his role. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No.
Several behind the scenes all use the same snippet of him. It must be like the only one that exists. But, Vincent Price, he was very old at this point. He was very sick, not doing well. And he agrees to be in this movie. Tim Burton had actually made a short animated film called Vincent back in 1982. And it's about like a little boy who wants to be Vincent Price. And Vincent Price did the narration for that. And so he agrees to come back and play this, this role. And anyway, in the snippet, behind the scenes thing, Vincent Price is like, and then, the inventor makes this creature and he has the heart of a cookie.
That's so sweet.
I know. And it's like,
Literally.
even though we see like in the drawings, he doesn't have the heart of a cookie. Like he actually has like organs. And in the very beginning, when Winona is talking to the granddaughter, which I want to go back to because
We have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
She says like he had a brain and a heart. He had all those things. Okay. But Vincent Price really thought that he had the heart of a cookie. And that's just so nice. And
I
so to me, I'm
know.
like, you know what, inventor Vincent Price, I don't care if you gave him scissor hands. You were doing your best.
Right. But maybe we could have given him like, I don't know, two instead of like a whole bunch. And maybe we could have created covers.
Slip
But
covers.
he was right. But he was going to give him arms
Right.
and hands and then he dropped dead, which is so sad.
I never thought about why he gave him scissor hands because to me, when we're watching that whole Rube Goldberg breakfast cookie thing
Yeah.
machine, oh, I said breakfast because we get the same thing in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's the opening, right?
Yeah.
It's like Tim
Yeah.
Burton doing the same thing. Even the egg crack is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
okay. Tim Burton just like spending millions of dollars to watch eggs get cracked automatically. He's like, oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Yes, I've done it again. But in that, after that whole thing, Vincent Price turns and looks at one of the robots that has scissor hands already, and that's when he's like, maybe. So I always thought that he took that machine and turned it into Edward slowly, like piece by piece.
Yes, that's what I gathered too.
So I was like, well, that's why he has scissor hands, because he had scissor hands.
Right, but then you were going to gift him and level him up with arms,
Yeah.
and fingers, and it's just, yeah.
Yeah. It's the part that I think you can't think about too much.
Part number one.
Also the ending, I think you can't think about too much.
You can't because
yeah.
I have,
Yeah.
like I have my obvious questions, but I don't want to be that person. to
No,
like
no, no,
negate the
no.
whole movie because I love this movie.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and like Caroline Thompson said, this is a fable, and she said a fable is a story that you don't believe but you understand.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh, that's really good.
That's exactly this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And so all of those things that you like pick apart to try to get it to like make sense, you don't have to. In fact, when they got together and decided to work on a project together, this is the story. So this is how the legend goes that Burton and her both say is that when they were talking about ideas, he said, "Well, when I was a kid in high school, I drew a picture of a guy with scissor hands," and that she didn't even see like the picture. She just went off and wrote the script, and she was like, "It's the only time that the story just like came to me, like all at once." She was like, hearing that, I understood what this was. It's about a person who's like an outsider, and they want to connect, and they can't connect, and so that's she wrote everything based on just the idea of a drawing.
That's so cool.
And I think that that's kind of how we would be best to understand it as well. It's just like this is it's impressions, it's feelings, it's images, and that they connect all of it together honestly is pretty impressive. Like
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know how you felt, but I felt like this movie just moved.
Oh, yeah. It was, I mean, I wasn't bored at any point.
Yeah. How do you feel about this world that Edward descending into hell from his, heavenly perch where he's created this world for himself?
The colorful cookie cutter of suburbia.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, visually, it's something else, right? And the only way you could really say is it's surreal.
Yeah.
But it's such a feast for the eyes, and you're automatically just like, oh my gosh, the colors. I just love it so much. And then when we zoom out and we see where he was living,
Mm-hmm.
it's just this like tall hill mountain of just darkness. The contrast is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. A lot of the shots were miniatures. They
Yeah.
built miniatures, which I think look really, really great.
They do.
And then they actually found a town down in Florida that had just been like a new development. They were like, "Hey, can we use these 20-ish buildings or whatever?" And they let them,
Wow.
which is
So
nuts.
cool. That is
Yeah.
nuts.
My thought rewatching this was, how are the women portrayed in this movie,
Yeah.
And I'm trying to not be like harsh on the movie because written by a woman, female producer, and I think that we do have good characters in Kim and Peg, but this group of housewives that are just, there's not a lot of redeeming qualities. They ultimately become like the mob,
Yeah.
that like ousts the monster.
Yeah. They're like over exaggerated, catty neighborhood. What was the neighbor in Bewitched?
I was just gonna Mrs. Crandall Kravitz,
Was that her? I thought she had her first name though.
Agnes,
Agnes.
wasn't it? Let's see here.
Wait, wait,
Oh
wait.
no,
No.
hold on.
No. Agnes is
Gladys Kravitz.
right. So honestly, all of them kind of gave me Gladys vibes. And
Yeah.
when your life is pretty boring every day and then something new and exciting comes, you can relate to that and you're just
Mm-hmm.
curious. Besides Joyce, who is very thirsty and was hitting on the repairman, we don't see the husbands of any of the other women.
We only see them. We see them come home, and
Right,
and they scatter and go home because the husbands are home now. We see them
right.
leave. We see kind of anonymous people at the barbecue, and then we see kind of anonymous people at the the night of I
The
don't know what
Christmas
you call it.
party?
Yeah, the night of the Christmas party. But yeah, apart from her husband, I don't know that we know
No.
who any of the other husbands are.
They just seem like very bored
Yeah.
women who
Yeah.
don't have anything to do, but they're very involved with the gossip of the town or lack thereof, and now they're something.
Yeah. When that first night at dinner, I was like, how did Peg have time to make this wonderful dinner? Like, this would have taken me
Moms are superheroes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a cook.
Like I said, moms are superheroes.
Okay. So how do you feel about Joyce?
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Oh gosh. Joyce is just the villain that's building.
Yeah.
But when we first really see her, I'm very amused by her.
Yeah.
Her whole just like over the top of thirstiness. And also just the aesthetic of her lips, her nails, the fact that her little dog is named Kisses. She just cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, as it goes on, she really is the one to start the shit. And the whole taking advantage or trying to of Edward was so uncomfortable. Like, I felt more uncomfortable now watching it. And again, as a kid, I think I just brushed over that.
Yeah, you kind of know, like, something's happening.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, right. Someone's unbuttoning their shirt. What on earth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Joyce?
I think she's played wonderfully.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, I think that it is an exaggeration, and that's kind of where I landed on like just all of this stuff, is that it's all just an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Like Alan Arkin is an exaggeration that I like and then I laugh at, and then I'm like, haha, I like this, I want to see more of this. Where the women are an exaggeration that just makes me feel icky, because I'm like, ooh, I don't really like this idea of like, you know, just this glob of like
right.
a gain of women kind of all falling into this. But putting all that aside, yeah, I think Joyce she's really funny. I love her with the dishwasher repair guy, which, by the way, I don't know if you know who that is. That dude's name is Stephen Brill. He is the sole writing credit on The Mighty Ducks. And he is also the director of one of my childhood favorite films, Heavyweights.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
He pops up here and there in like different Adam Sandler movies a few times. You might remember him. He's one of the dudes in The Wedding Singer where Adam Sandler says to him, "Hey, yeah, why don't you have a few drinks and then drive yourself home?" That's that guy.
Oh, wow. I love The Wedding Singer so much, by the way.
He's also directed some like pretty bad comedy movies, but hey, you give us Mighty Ducks, you give us Heavyweights? Come on. You're set for life if you ask me.
And then you get to be in this, a small role.
Right, yeah.
That's fine.
And also like kind of how he's played is kind of funny, because I feel like a lot of times we would have like that guy flirting back with her, or like aggressively rolling his eyes, or like trying to get out of the house, and he's just kind of keeping his cool. Like he knows what's going on, but he's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna do my thing and leave. And then yeah, like Joyce lying about what happened, obviously that's bad, and like helps aid in the downfall of the community's opinion of Edward.
Of course.
But I think it's really Jim who is like the true villain of the movie.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Please.
What a glow up.
5 years later.
When you think about it, right? Because we did The Breakfast Club. And you think about Brian, right?
Yes.
Brian was his name.
So nice, so sweet.
He played that role, right, in most of those movies. And then here, you're like, oh my gosh, you grew 7,000 feet tall. You are a bully. You know, I can't help but think that he felt kind of cathartic playing this role a little bit.
Sure.
Like, let's play another type of person here. He did a great job.
Yeah,
and to me, very
really
believable. Good. And you don't think of him as the nerdy small kid At least I didn't.
No, not at all. Not at all. He's totally different. You know, in Breakfast Club, he's almost playing Edward Scissorhands' character.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know?
Yeah, right.
And now here he is playing John Bender.
I know.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You either die a Brian or live long enough to see yourself become a Bender.
We can only hope.
But yeah, I remember when I was younger, I thought that he was like super jacked in this movie. And he's not necessarily like super jacked. He's just a lot bigger than he was younger. And so.
Yeah. And plus, you know, you put him next to Winona Ryder, who's so petite.
Mm-hmm.
And then Johnny Depp, well, as Edward, is just, well, he's got these like, you know, extremities of the scissors. He is very thin.
Oh, yeah.
So he looks very buff.
20 or 30 pounds to do this.
Wait, what?
I'm pretty sure Depp lost around 20 pounds to do this, which if you see him on 21 Jump Street, you're not like, oh, that kid could lose 20 pounds.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a fun little 80s show. You might like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about cops going undercover in high school. Have you ever seen the movie?
No, we should have done that for Teen Month.
That might have to come around.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Jim is kind of like the only other character who wears dark clothing. He is really the only character who acts like angry and aggressively. Kim seems to be living in our world.
Mm-hmm.
She is reacting to things kind of like how we would react to things. She's not reacting to things like Peg would, or Peg is, you know. First of all, I never realized Jim and Kim. I don't know how I never put those two together. But I was thinking about it together
either.
It's so weird. Like, why is her name Kim? You know, like, not that there's anything wrong with the name Kim, but it doesn't seem like something that you would name this like angelic female lead who's supposed to fall in love with like a fairy tale monster, you know?
Yeah.
So Jim is, I don't know, like, is he opposite Edward? Like,
I want to say yes, but no.
mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, right? Because of Kim's choosing, she's like, oh my God, Edward is not a person, but he is because he's got organs. Maybe we don't know. So, like, if we're going to do like, you know, biologically, is he different? Right. Is he opposite?
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other thing.
That's what lost Tom Cruise this role.
Oh my God. Dude, there's just, not to like jump ship from that topic, but when I read that today that Tom Cruise was offered this role, it's almost comical to think about. No offense to Tom Cruise, but this would have been a totally different movie.
He's got a different vibe. Tom Cruise has a different vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, I did a bit of a Tom Cruise dive last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I'm not really sure how I feel about this guy as an actor. And
yeah.
so I watched a lot of things. Risky Business, I will tell you, is like not the movie that culture has like told us that it is.
I've never seen it.
Okay, well then you might have no preconceived notions. Risky Business is the one where he slides in his underwear with the sunglasses.
Yes,
okay, well,
I just have never.
Nothing can be said about a movie. I say, Risky Business is not the movie you think it is. Michelle says, well, I haven't seen it. And I say, well, it's this movie. And she says, I know it's that movie.
Okay, but that is like everybody knows that scene is from Risky Business.
Sure.
But I don't know what the rest of the movie's about.
Well, he's different. And, you know, it's not that like kind of cool guy throughout the movie. So I will say, like, Tom Cruise, he can do different things. Definitely. He's a good actor. I hate that he is stuck doing these Mission Impossible movies. I mean, not stuck, but that he's like chosen to do these huge death-defying stunts and action movies. Like, if you watch Magnolia, Eyes Wide Shut, Risky Business, he can do more than just that. And what I'm waiting for is the day when he's like too old to be killing himself on stunts and just goes back to doing drama again. So Yeah. But anyway, enough about Tom Cruise. It would have been weird to have him in this role, but reading through the list of who they wanted in this, it would have been weird to have any of them, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to think about now.
Right. Gary Oldman, maybe, just because we are used to seeing him do prosthetics and do crazy wild characters all the time. But like Jim Carrey is a name that was floated.
It would have just been so much exaggeration of the mouth and face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's different. John Cusack was one that they thought.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., I think I can see because he did the Chaplin movie. He did the Charlie Chaplin movie, and Chaplin was who Depp studied to do this role because he has so few lines. But yeah, it's real hard to imagine anyone else in this. And then for Kim, they were thinking about Laura Dern, which I think I love Laura Dern, love her to pieces. She's great. But I think that would really come too close to like Blue Velvet and like David Lynch. Because this is, it's like teetering, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely more stylized than Lynch. Like it just stylized in a different direction. But I think you put Laura Dern in this, anyone else, it's a different movie. Like this, the movie that we got, I feel like is pretty perfect for like who is cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go back to your original question, do you think Edward and Jim are opposites?
I mean, I can think about like what we know about the two of them. Edward loved his father, and his father loved him, and his father wanted to give him and teach him and show him good things, where Jim hates his parents, and Jim's parents like lock everything away, all of their riches away from Jim. Like they don't want to help him.
Jim's parents have a dope conversation pit.
Yes, that's pretty cool.
Man, man. Yeah. Hard eyes.
Yeah.
Just
I was into that room. Yeah. I was kind of though like, if you're that rich, why are you living in this like track house neighborhood? You know what I mean? Like, not that there's anything wrong with suburban housing, but this seems like millionaire type lifestyle.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was also funny when Jim was talking about the different things his dad has bought. He's like, yeah, VCR player with a 4 tape head. I was like, oh, 4 tapes at once. Why would you need that?
Why not?
So you can watch 4 movies in a row without having to get up, I guess.
What did you think about the van? Right? Because Jim just wants to get a van so him and Kim can have their own time. But like aesthetically, the van felt out of place for me.
Yeah.
With the flames.
Yeah, and I think I don't know that it was for this choice, but we have the jarring moment of like seeing Edward, which I texted you when I was watching this the first time, and I said, have I taken the design of Edward Scissorhands for granted all my life? And you said yes. When he comes out of those shadows, man, I don't want to say I gasped, but I kind of like lost my breath for a second, like really taking it in and really like looking at the whole thing. I was like, man, what a moment. So we have like Edward coming in, getting adjusted, and then we think like, okay, kind of life has settled a little bit. But then they come back in that van, and I think it's just a little startling.
Yeah.
You know,
because and don't you think it represents
so out of place?
Yeah, and also how I took it all is like it represents the teenagers trying not to be so cookie cutter and in the color palette of suburbia. And so like flames.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Just rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jim is like, he's trying to steal from his parents.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, when they're outside of the house and she doesn't have a key, Kim doesn't have a key, and Edward comes in and opens the door for them. Jim says, it's very quickly, but he says, hey, be a pal and yell out if Peg comes home, okay? clearly like they're going to have
Yeah.
sex in the other room. And
Right.
so, yeah, this group of people, they're definitely trying to do their own thing, and they're not, you know, playing along with what their parents want, which is also kind of so odd to me about the ending, is that Kim never left.
Well, sometimes we get stuck.
It's true. It's true.
But and you're just a townie for life.
Before we go to the ending, I want to go all the way back to the beginning, because I have to mention this little girl in this giant bed.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it so much.
It's so cute. It's very cute.
And it's a silly effect that feels understated, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you almost don't notice it at first. It's comically large, but like it almost fits. It's just like a little off. I almost took a picture of that to send to you and Krista and be like, this is what I imagine Michelle is like in bed every night.
I mean, honestly, it kind of is. I'm usually like in the middle with the pillows up against me and I'm like this undercover. So you're not wrong. Not wrong.
Yeah. How did you feel about Winona's old woman makeup and voice? Just hit me with it.
Yeah. I don't like at first I was like, wait, this is Winona because I hear her voice. And then I actually wanted it to look worse. I'm not going to lie. I wanted the makeup to look worse. But then at the end, when we go back to it, I'm like, wow, we really just piled like all of it on. It was like very thick. What'd you think?
100% honesty. Loving this movie and loving Winona. I think this is when you go to a lookalike actress.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's in a movie that's very fantastical. It's one of the only things that really like shocks you maybe into not buying in, or like takes you out of it, as people say, because it's just her voice. Like her voice is just so clearly doing like, oh, I'm an old woman.
And you know what? So in Little Women, she plays Jo March, and she reads her plays and she puts on characters with her sisters, and she does that voice. And so that's all I could think about as she's this old woman. I'm like, oh, she's just reading as Jo March as a male character. She used to do plays with her sisters, and that kind of took it out for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it seriously.
Yeah. You know, but I don't know. Whatever.
Right. You just got to let it go. But it was just, the makeup was so thick.
Yeah.
It was just so thick.
Yeah. I'm just an old woman now.
I know. I just got to talk like this.
Yeah. Which it's like, I don't know. I've been around a lot of old ladies. It's not like they're gasping for every breath. You just, you know.
Yeah. I know. That whole thing where like old ladies, that's how they talk throughout. And it feels, and then like, again, this movie does very much feel like a cartoon. And so that was like a cartoon old lady.
True.
It's not real.
Okay.
It's not real.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And that, yeah, when you put it like that, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about Johnny Depp as Edward Scissorhands?
I mean, I'm just in love, completely smitten. Want to date him. Be my boyfriend, please, Edward. Charmed. Couldn't stop smiling. Like every time he would smile, I smiled. I just felt giddy.
I think learning about Depp, like studying Chaplin, and then also how they had given him copies of the Scissorhands to like wear around at home to get used to using them. It made it make a lot more sense, because he talked about learning how to gain sympathy from the audience using just his face. And when he first comes out and Peg turns to run and he says, "Don't go," it's just like so sad. And like, even though it's very quiet, it feels very full. Like there's a lot behind him saying like, "Don't go." And like Burton had put a lot of his own, I guess, he grew up in Burbank, California, very much suburban. And he was like, I wanted to make a story about like this idea of like wanting to like reach out and like touch people, but you can't for whatever reason. And I don't know that Edward fits into any one group. Like I wouldn't say like, oh, Edward represents this or that or this group or that group. It's really just kind of like this primal like inner fear that I think everyone can have.
Yeah.
Yeah, of like if I do this, if I reach out, I'm going to hurt somebody, I'm going to get hurt. They're not going to understand me. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. That's how we can all relate to this. We've all felt this way.
I don't know. I was pretty confident as a kid.
You were not.
No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
No, I think every kid, like, you know, when you're like 12 or 13, you put your hand on the window pane as the rain is falling down and you're like, I'm just like Edward Scissorhands.
I mean, to a point.
No, you didn't do that?
No, I did not do that.
So you had said slipcovers or like, I mean, the scissors are so big.
They're so big, but give him a glove or something. But he wasn't like cutting himself while his dad was alive.
Right.
We're going to call him his dad, right? His dad?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like thinking practically the whole time, like, why not just cut the scissors down?
Oh, I thought, why are we keep sharpening them?
Well, that too. And I mean, I guess it's because they're using him for their own, you know, personal gain.
And he's just so good with them. I guess when those are your hands, you
right,
very much can work on your skill set. But like, what an artiste.
So that leads me to another question I have for you, which is, would you let him cut your hair?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, those hairstyles, they were pretty great, weren't they? They reminded me of something from the Jetsons.
Definitely.
That's like another thing, like with this movie, right? Like, you don't really know when it's taking place. Like the Avon kind of puts it, but it feels very 50s. It feels kind of 70s.
Yep.
80s, right? And then those hairstyles feel like futuristic. And that's the point, because he's doing hairstyles that they're not used to. Also, it gave me very much Whoville and Dr. Seuss vibes.
Definitely.
But yeah, but I would say moreover than that, I would want him to create a topiary on my lawn.
Yeah.
I would love that. What would you pick him to do?
If I had hair, I think I would let him cut my hair.
You don't want a topiary, though? He's going to come into your hedges and create a shape?
If he'll maintain them.
Well, what shape would you want?
Oh. I don't know. Maybe like a shark?
Yeah.
That seems fun.
So cool.
Like
yeah.
A shark coming out of your grass?
Yeah. I'd probably have a cat, like a giant cat, or Bigfoot. Definitely a Bigfoot.
Okay. I don't know how I didn't see the cat coming, but yeah, Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to point out two things on the note of, you know, him kind of being just like a universal character for people to latch onto. 3 times throughout the movie, 3 different characters say to him, I've got a doctor friend that might be able to help you.
Yeah.
And I was like, we have heard this, and maybe some of us have said this before about a numerous amount of things, right?
Yeah.
And it just seemed like such a funny, you know, not every time it's not played off for laughs. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like a recurring joke, like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And it's just like, what a choice to keep. And the thing about Edward is he wants help. Like, he wants Peg to get tips from the Avon lady. And he wants to have his hands replaced. And he wants to have a girlfriend. He wants to be, quote unquote, normal. And these people who kind of just like flit into his life and then say like, oh, I might be able to help you, and then disappear. I was like, man, that is definitely a line a recurring line that went over my head as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That went over my head as well.
And then I also just wanted to point out, obviously, this is a great score by Danny Elfman. All of the music that is not scored by Elfman is Tom Jones. There are 3 Tom Jones songs in this movie. It's really funny. Like, It's Not Unusual is one of them. And
right.
There's a few other ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Duh.
Yeah. And I was just like, all right, Burton. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that felt random.
Yeah. But it goes along with the aesthetic of the parents and
the
suburban neighborhood. But it's just something I had never really thought of. Like, oh, this is all Tom Jones. Like, they go to Burton and they're like, all right, so what are you thinking about for music? He's like, Tom Jones. That is this place, you know?
Yeah.
What is your Christmas tree setup? Because we get the white fake tree in this, and the more bells and so I was like, I wonder what Michelle's, what's the story here?
It has changed over time, but right now our current tree setup is a fake, pre-lit.
Oh,
just I guess it's like a balsam fake tree.
Sure.
I used to put these vintage rose gold balls on them. They were a gift from my old boss. But then when you have cats and kittens and then they break them. So
got it.
Now it's very much soft ornaments. And this year, because we have a kitten, the kitten will 100% climb the tree. And then I have my office tree because, multiple trees. I'm a multiple tree household.
Okay.
What about you? What do you guys do? Do you do white lights, color lights?
A few different things. Yeah. Jean kind of insisted on going to a fake tree. I think because she realized that I was putting off each year more and more going out to get a real tree.
Did you guys chop it down? We used to do that.
No, you will never catch me chopping down a tree.
Oh, Aunt, we would go to a Christmas tree farm and Aunt would bring his saw and cut it down.
I have no interest in cutting down a tree.
Okay.
Working more for Christmas, a holiday that I very much do not like.
He's the Grinch. Seth is the Grinch. I forgot.
Oh, I will remind everyone. Don't worry. We're coming, man. We're coming to Christmas time.
Great.
So, yeah, I think she realized, like, oh, if I just buy a fake tree and it's in my basement, I can set it up whenever I want. So now I'll, like, come home and it's, like, a week from Thanksgiving. She's like, yeah, I put the tree up. And I'm like, oh.
You guys don't do it together?
We do parts of it together. We'll usually decorate together, but she'll put it up.
Yeah, Aunt and I decorate together. I also love the bubble lights. Do you guys have the bubble lights? Those
we do have the bubble lights,
vintage. Those are my dad's favorite. My dad, the Jew, loved Christmas. Like, wanted all the color lights, everything to blink, like pretty much have a seizure, like over the top.
My big Christmas tree contribution is I love having the little train underneath.
Oh, that's nice.
So I had bought like a retro train at a garage sale.
Cute.
So yeah, I don't know why. I just think it's very funny to have the little train going around. What's up? Do you guys do a menorah?
We do a menorah. Yeah.
What's the menorah situation like?
I have a gorgeous, giant, like gilded menorah that my mom bought me, and we light it every night.
Nice.
With real candles. Yeah. Nice. And stockings. Hang the stockings. I love a village. I love a Christmas village.
Wowie zowie. Okay.
I love it so much. I have my Christmas bedroom. Don't get me started on the Christmas bedroom.
I think we'll save that for our Christmas episodes.
Got it. And I've been shopping for Christmas dishes. So.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this a Christmas movie to you?
I still view it as something I would watch around Halloween.
Yeah.
But it's a movie that just has Christmas in it.
Yeah.
It's not like we have Christmas spirit going on,
It's similar, Tim Burton did not direct Nightmare Before Christmas. It's Henry Selick. But everyone's always like, Tim Burton's. But it's just funny how like there's these two movies that are like Christmas movies, but not really,
Right.
Yeah.
I do love Nightmare Before Christmas, though.
I want to bring out two quick things. One, the kid doing the slip inside is Aaron Carter.
What?
No, not Aaron Carter. Who's the older Carter?
Nick?
Nick Carter, yeah. The kid doing the slip inside is Nick Carter.
Really?
Yeah. He's in it. He's in the movie for like 2 seconds.
Because he lived in Florida?
I guess so.
Wow, that's random.
And then when we see Edward's bed and bedroom, he has all these like little cutouts, right? Kim has the same thing around her mirror. She has all these different faces and like pieces of faces like cut out and strewn all around her mirror. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that they did, that they chose to do. Getting into the ending, you already kind of mentioned it, when the dad is on the roof singing. It's so funny. Alan Arkin is hilarious in that, throwing down the fake snow and singing. And then Jim is like, "Get out of here, you freak." And he's just like, "Hey, Edward, where you going?" But when Edward comes back and Kim is like, "Oh, I was so scared." And she says, "Hold me." And then he says, "I can't." And then she like puts his arms around her, and we get the music and we get this zoom in on the two of them. And then it dissolves into the present box that held Edward's hands from Vincent Price. I was like, I wrote down, is this the greatest like shot in film history?
It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
It's great. And I love that line, like, "Hold me, I can't."
Yeah.
It's pretty
so
wonderful.
Layered.
Yeah. So yeah, they fight. He stabs him. He dies. It's kind of scary. And
I mean, when you really think about it, like, this kid just died.
He just died.
And they're like, "I'm gonna go home."
Yep.
Like, Joyce is like, "I'm going home." The cop really lets him go.
Yep.
And
because he sees the good in Edward. He's like,
right.
He's on his side.
Right. And Kim, again, to be like, he's dead. Like, nobody double checks.
Nope.
They're like, all right.
And then no one ever goes there again. But anyway.
Okay. We get this sweet, how do you know he's still alive? Because it wouldn't snow if he wasn't.
Yeah.
Magicalness happening, right? And I'm like, how'd we get the resources? How does Edward get the resources to make these ice sculptures, to make it snow? And like, nobody's wondering about this.
Yeah. You know what? And this is the part that really did impress me, even though it kind of doesn't make any sense, is because this is like a Greek story where you're like, why is there a rainbow? Or like, why does this thing happen? It's like, oh, well, let me tell you this story, and this crazy thing happened. And that's why foxes have tails, right. And so for them to kind of come around like, well, why does it snow in southern Florida? And then you'll never guess. You will never
Even though
guess.
We see it coming from the castle mansion.
Yeah. I do love it though. Like I love how
it's magical.
You see it snowing, you see him doing it, and then you just see it like hurl out of the window.
Yeah.
Like, with the music. And I was like, that's myth making, man.
I mean, it works.
Yeah. You have to switch your brain off.
You do.
And like, to me, it's like, okay, Kim, you're an old woman now. You want him to remember you as you were. But what about like a week later? Like, you're not going to like sneak out and see him?
Also, like, no teenagers tried to go up there. Like, let's see if he's actually alive. Is it haunted?
Right.
How does he get the ice? How does he get the ice? Who's delivering the ice to him?
Maybe he converts some of the machines, the cookie machines, to be ice machines with his scissor hands. I don't know, bro.
How is he running water? How does he have electricity? Who's paying that bill?
I know.
I think the cop is hooking him up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think the cop actually took care of him. Like, if we had a little, here's what happened afterwards.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Because how else are things running?
Right. So this movie was made for $20 million, which sounds close to right. You know, we don't have tons of huge stars at this point, like Alan Arkin, obviously, Diane Weiss, obviously, but like, I don't know, you know, beyond just painting a ton of houses and then having to repaint them when you're done. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that it was 20 million. And like, if he had not come off of doing Batman, which was, you know, huge, I can definitely see them doing a version of this for like $10 million. You know, that would not look as good, but it makes 86 million at the box office. So great, you know, really great. It's got an 89 on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.9 on Letterboxd, 74 on Metacritic. I did look up Roger Ebert's review for this, and he did not love it. He gave it 2 out of 4.
Whoa.
And yeah, like his big beef with it is like the ending, and it's kind of like violence doesn't solve everything, and it should have been a more imaginative ending. And then he actually like spoils the ending in his review, and I was like, whoa, Ebert, chill out, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed at that.
Wow.
So we reached out to some friends on Twitter to ask them what they thought. Deranged Voodoo Phantom. Now, a lot of these names that I'm going to read, future generations will not know because it's Halloween, and so everyone changes their name, their display name, to be something spooky.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is right. Yeah.
Oh my God, maybe I'll make myself like Boo Shell. Ghosts. Did you see my ghost nails? Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Very spooky.
They're not.
How about
They're
Mish Hell?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Boo Shell.
Okay. So Deranged Voodoo Phantom at D Van Pat says, I liked this movie a lot when I was younger. I'm kind of bored by it now, but definitely still respect Tim Burton's artistic direction.
Bored. Oh my God.
Michael Lee Louis for Michael Lee Lewis, a friend from Wales, says, I always wondered why his creator, Vincent Price, went through all that trouble of giving him scissors for hands and not just give him silicone ones. It's like a cruel joke. Poor Edward.
Yeah.
Nadine Whitney at Nadine_Whitney said, I did see it when it came out, and it made me aware that at some stage in American cuisine, marshmallow salad was a thing.
Oh my
That's
God,
my
ambrosia.
strongest memory.
Yo, ambrosia is a thing. Oh my God, that scene when she shoves it in his mouth.
Yeah, disgusting.
LOL.
I love ambrosia. Light marshmallow, though. Light. It's got to be real light.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, this display name is Saw X amount of flicks this October at all Flickr.
It's only the 5th. Wow.
Well, Saw X is the new Saw movie.
Oh, not like I saw X amount of movies.
Right.
LOL.
Says, my birthday movie in the winter of 1990. When it was over, everyone exited through the side doors into the parking lot to discover a light snowfall had covered everything in white. He's still up there chopping that ice, quipped someone. Truly magical and happy movie memory.
Oh my God, I just got chills. Can you imagine?
I can't imagine. No. Can't imagine. Someone else on Twitter went to see the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist. Like that was this month or whatever. And they said at one part, like when crazy stuff started happening, the power in the theater went out. I would have just died in my spot. I would have just died right away. I would have been like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm scared to death.
No.
Nick at Nick Shiesty says, put this on an alternative Christmas film list for the website, and it's one of the only movies that captured my dog's attention. And I think there might be a reason for that. The writer of the script said that she based Edward's character on her dog.
Okay.
She said that she had a dog that was so like alert and like present that she felt like the dog would like just speak if it knew how to speak.
Hmm.
And so that was her note to Johnny Depp, was like, you are a dog.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I could see it, like a little timid too at times,
Yep.
and want to
Yep.
please, but not
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah.
He says, ultimately a very sad film about the tendency to exploit the odd new thing when it's a novelty, then turn on it when it no longer serves that purpose.
Ooh, that's good.
Shawshank.
Hey, Shawshank. I feel like it's been a minute since we've heard from Shawshank.
I think so. Yeah. He's always there, though.
Yes. Always, like,
just
always
like
in the
Edward
Discord.
Scissorhands.
Oh no, he's our
we
Edward
know
Scissorhands.
we know that it's still snowing because Shawshank is there. At Tyler_Burnham said, is the character of Edward Scissorhands the genesis of emo culture? He's most certainly the reason why Johnny Depp became the heartthrob that he did. His sensitive portrayal of Edward likely lit a fire in many a person's heart. And I agree, man. This is
for sure.
This is a performance and a movie. This is like a statement, man. This is
Yeah.
the type of movie where you're like, this is going to be my whole personality for 6 months. You know what I mean? Yeah.
This is who I identify with. This is what I want to dress like. Oh, yeah.
Felicia at Cinemaroni.
Yes.
She says, the scene with the waterbed lives rent-free in my mind. Seriously, though, this is such a beautiful film. A true timeless classic.
I agree. It is a timeless classic. Okay. So there's 2 waterbed scenes that are like, the first one's very comical, and then the second one is like,
yeah.
Yeah. Do people still have waterbeds?
I haven't seen a waterbed in many a moon. You never heard that?
No, many a moon.
Yeah,
I've heard many moons, like many, many moons, but not many a moon.
Yeah, many a moon.
Any a moon.
If you don't want to put an S to make something plural, you just put a in front of it. So like many Michelles or many a Michelle.
Or I have many a cat.
Yeah.
Anyway, growing up, my parents had a waterbed.
Oh, okay.
But they had one where it was panels. It was individual, long, vertical panels. And it was 1997, and Sam and I are on my parents' bed watching Beverly Hillbillies. And then it popped. And my dad lost his shit and wanted to throw it out the window. And, my parents live in a condominium. My mom's like, you can't do that. So 10 p.m. at night, my sister and I are dragging these panels down our stairs. This memory is so concrete in my mind. Yeah. I've been talking about it with my sister and my mom all week.
If it's individual panels, how could they all pop?
Well, one popped, and then my dad flipped out and was like, the whole thing's going to be uneven. So we dragged, my sister and I dragged the panels down the stairs. I was 10 years old. Sam was 8. That's
amazing.
That's 10 p.m. But that being said, I think the most iconic waterbed is from a Goofy movie with the fish in it.
I don't even remember that.
It is. I mean, that's why you wanted a waterbed, because you could have fish in it.
Wow, I don't even remember that, and I'm a Goofy movie lover.
I mean, also the pizza. You always wanted the pizza from that movie, right? God, we should do that,
Seth. Right? That's the song, right? Tonight is the only thing we gotta think. Right?
The fish?
No, not ringing any bells. Crazy.
What? Okay, somebody I know out there.
Did I just sing the Goofy movie music, or was that something different?
I don't know. I don't really remember that. Okay. I just remember the pizza and the waterbed.
All right. So Jamila, well, okay, sorry. Her spooky display name is Dressed to Spill Tea.
Yes.
There's a De Palma film called Dressed to Kill, so I think that it's a play on that. At Jamila Brownie says, unpopular opinion maybe, this is a Christmas movie. And then a bunch of people commented, no, this is a Christmas movie. So it turned out to be a popular opinion. She went on to say, on a more serious note, to comment on the discourse about the scarcity of people of color in Burton's oeuvre. I think it's interesting because Edward, like many cinematic monsters, is symbolic of the outsider trapped in a conformist suburbia. And yes, there are very few people of color in this film. And also in a lot of his other movies.
Yeah.
Betsy. At Gorham_Betsy. She says, top tier Tim Burton, a modern, or at least modern for 1990, fairy tale that makes me cry.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Greffoir at Greffoir204 says, as an autistic person, Edward is literally me for real, for real. Erica at just_Erica_, who joined me to talk about Saw X.
Hey, that's cool.
She says, I love this movie. I love the pastel neighborhood, the whimsical garden, and Edward's sense of wonder. It was crazy to see Anthony Michael Hall not as a geek. It was strange to me, though, that Vincent Price gave him scissors as a placeholder for hands in the first place. Also, the little girl in the giant bed absolutely slays me. So those are some people that we do know. Now we're going to go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3 Star, 5 Star. Half star, 3 star, 5 star. All right, so these are reviews from letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star rating, which is the lowest rating that you can give a film, and we go all the way up to a 5-star rating, which is the highest rating that you can give a film. And the half-star review, I think I'm going to read... I was going to try to do Vincent Price, but I don't think I can do that.
Can I throw a curveball at you?
Throw a curveball at me.
It doesn't necessarily go with this movie.
Okay.
But maybe try it as the guy who does all the trailers. So, In a World.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see that movie, In a World, with Lake Bell?
No, I almost watched it like 10 times. It's about voice actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really liked that movie. And her dad is the guy who does In a World.
In a World.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do movie guy.
Movie guy.
This movie is okay if you aren't analyzing the message too much. It just makes me feel so uncomfortable to watch this movie and for it to end with a shrug and a dose of, I guess it just be like that sometimes. From the one person who knows he's up there and could try to give him company. It also seems to be trying to say something about disability, but just misses the point entirely. Half star.
It sounded like Keanu, but I appreciate the effort. Man. You do Keanu. I mean...
Am I doing Keanu every time?
I think so. I really think. Wow. Guys, send us an email.
He lives in my brain.
Yeah. Well, hey. Worse people could live in your brain, but there's something to be said with that review.
I think that they bring up a few points.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know that the movie's trying to say something about having a disability.
No.
You know, like I said, I don't know that this movie is firmly in place on any one group of people. Okay, 3-star review says, Tim Burton is just one of those people where I find his movies visually very artistic and exciting, but the stories just tend to fall really flat for me. I love the practical effects in his movies and the use of color and sound, but many of the characters I find myself absolutely hating. This one is no exception.
Okay. All right.
And I think we covered, there are several characters in this that are just plain delightful.
You know who we just have to give like a little shout out to is Brother Kevin. We didn't talk about him, but
we didn't, you know.
I mean, that's it. But yeah. I would like to do Honey, I Shrunk the Kids at some point.
He is the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kid.
So just putting it out there.
I'm not sure. Have you seen it?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay.
I'm just dying to watch movies from when I was a kid, Seth.
I was thinking, honestly, next year.
Can we just do kid movies?
Well, of either doing kid movies or we do 1 month and we call it Michelle Core. And then the next month we do Seth Core.
I'm nervous about Seth Core. I don't want to do Seth Core.
Well, you know what, though?
What?
I have a new outlet for Seth Core movies because we launched a new show on Patreon with my wife.
Yes.
It's called That's Messed Up. And we're doing movies by David Lynch and Lars von Trier. We're doing movies by Stanley Kubrick. We're doing Possession and all this crazy stuff.
I feel like that's the show you go to for that's for the real film. Like if you want to talk film, you listen to that. If you want cotton candy and gummy bears, here you are. That's me.
Well, I think it's just messed up stuff. I mean, this is real film stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But you guys are like the legit.
Oh my gosh.
What? You are. I don't know why you're always taking it that way. It's true. I'm the fluff. I am the ambrosia salad.
Oh my gosh. Well, I like ambrosia salad, so
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I'm the ambrosia.
But yeah, I was thinking that would be a fun one to do. Or it wouldn't even be like, it would just be like movies from our individual lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Michelle Core.
So it could be like
Seth Core.
Movies from when we were kids, or
Seth Core would be Clifford and Pee-wee.
Definitely.
And then I would leave. No, I love Pee-wee, but
yeah,
Clifford.
We've already done that. Patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Anyway, 5-star review says, you'll notice at some points that Edward Scissorhands is more of a get-together of peculiarities and less of a 100% structured story. But that doesn't matter at all. Fantasy story in one moment, drama in the next, and then social criticism. The movie dances almost carefree through all genres, like the snowflakes at the end. And that's how it feels. Gentle, sensitive, beautifully shimmering, and yet so fragile.
Wow.
Good review.
Very good review.
All right, nice. Michelle has a rating system, Schmovie Movie Film, and we rank the movie 1 through 5. Michelle, last time I let you go second, and you said it sucked. So this time I'm going to have you go first.
All right, fine. No, this is a movie.
Okay.
And I'm rating it 4 stars.
All right.
Feels good. Feels good to rate it that. Yeah, it's delightful, but also sad, but also makes you feel the things.
So I am going to say that this is a film that I'm really impressed with. And even though I loved it before, rewatching it now, I also did a Tim Burton deep dive last year. I've seen everything that he has done now, including like short films when he was a kid. And yeah, I think that this is pound for pound his best movie. Yeah. And
do you like Beetlejuice?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
I think that Beetlejuice is good, but I think that Edward Scissorhands is special.
I agree.
And I think that if you had to, if you had to do a 4-year consideration of his filmography of like truly getting someone to love him, I think this is the one that I would put,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say 4.5 stars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. Hey, 2 weeks in, Franktober.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway.
Yeah.
Actually, not halfway, but halfway for you because you're going on vacation.
I am going on vacation.
Okay. Next week. We've been trying to figure out a way to get this dude on the show forever. And this happened, and this is kind of like your pick for this month, honestly, right? We're going to be talking about Young Frankenstein from 1974, directed by Mel Brooks. The great Mel Brooks, maybe I should say.
This is probably one of the most anticipated movies from my friends that they've wanted me to watch.
Young Frankenstein.
When I brought this movie up, they're like, how have you never seen it? And oh my God, you're going to love it.
Yes.
I'm very excited. And Ant has said, like, ever since this was on the list, he's like, I can't wait to watch Young Frankenstein with you. I cannot wait to watch this with you. So I am very excited.
Isn't it so crazy how this is shaping up to be like a great month?
Well, I wasn't nervous about this. I love October.
No, I know, but it's just like every month is kind of a gamble. Like, I don't see what's streaming and what we're doing and what hits and
and you know what's impressive? Like I looked ahead and you have like all of next year planned out.
I do. It's all tentative though.
I know, but it's very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Young Frankenstein, 106 minutes. It's currently streaming on HBO. And it'll be great.
Yeah.
Anthony will be happy.
Yes, he will.
Hey, if you want to make Anthony happy, we'd love it if you'd give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. Also, subscribe. You don't want to lose this show and then have to remember what it was. Come on.
I know. Wait, did Mario ever reveal themselves?
We're still waiting. We're still waiting.
You know what? Mario's going to show up to our live show.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if your ancestors are mad at us for mispronouncing your name. Let us know what you think about Edward Scissorhands. Did we forget anything? I'm sure we did. We kind of bounced around on the story a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. I used to say it gets you access to 3 shows, but you know what, Michelle? Now it gets you access to 4 additional shows. That's once a week, people.
That's great. No, honestly, as from a creator standpoint, that's insane.
Yes, it's crazy. And it's all for $5 a month. You get access to the patron-only Discord, and you support an independent show. Come on. What's better than that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently whatever you're spending your $5 on is better than that.
Yeah, but...
Put down the Dunkachino. Is that a thing? Or did I just make that up from
No, that
Jack
sounds familiar. I don't know.
Okay.
I think so.
Anyway, hey, thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks for picking this movie.
Yeah, this was great. Glad to finally hit Tim Burton. I mean, crazy.
Hit Tim Burton.
Well, hit him up.
Right.
Get him on here,
What up, B?
Yeah. Burton.
TB.
TB.
I don't want that.
Yeah, no. Hey, thank you for listening. And until next week when we're talking about Young Frankenstein, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!